when it comes to identity, I honestly think the question of identity is such a privileged question. It indicates that you have the time and the money to stop and just be reflective, and just kind of obsess about yourself, quite honestly. Who am I? How do I fit? How do I relate? How do I feel? Where do I feel most comfortable in society? And I don't think that that was a question that most of humanity had the luxury to sit and ponder over. And then on top of that, they weren't given the options that we have. So there's the opportunity to simply even ask the question. Two, it's to ask the question and actually have more than one answer before you, right? I mean, women alone, I mean, aside from economic status, depending on where you were, women haven't been allowed to be educated or vote or have any of these rights for a large portion of the history of humanity. So there's that aspect. And then on top of that, we've got the technology, which represents ideas that we never would have thought of on our own within our own circle. So it's like, it's a 3-layered issue that's very, very modern. Ages ago, you asked me, what's the tie between identity and apologetics? This is the piece that I think is the core of all humans. And that's the desire to make the best sense of reality and the best sense of how you fit into that reality and that relationship, and finding something constant that grounds you as you go through life. And as you say, right now, anybody who puts that identity on, whether it's something you do, whether it's a role you play within your family, if it's motherhood, if it's your skin color, if it's your occupation, if it's your sexuality, your gender, you name it, whatever it is, if you try and make any of these things a core identity, all of those things can be fractured. They can be removed, they can be changed. The social expectations and view on that thing can change. I mean, it's not like you can go from white to black and you're going to lose that, but what it means to be white or black can certainly change. And you hear of people who build their identity around being, a very successful CEO, things like that. They go into retirement and they kill themselves because now they're so lost, they don't know who they are. Mothers who just dedicate themselves 150% to their children and don't build anything else out. They become empty nesters and now they're in a crisis. All these different things. The baseline was, my gosh, what is it that every single human is designed to look for? It's that personal meaning and that personal understanding of how you fit. And I thought, that is the apologetic for God. There's no other explanation for why humanity would seek that again and again and again. And sure, we constantly misplace it. But, I know from a naturalistic perspective, you could say, oh, it's about, establishing community and that's all a part of survival and things like that. Sure, that's been a default argument for all kinds of things. It's been the default argument for morality, for why we don't go around killing and raping constantly, because we want to be, accepted in our community for survival purposes. But each one of us knows it's more than that. We need to know where we came from, what makes us matter, what makes us have any value, and what makes us fit in a constantly changing world, and something that we control, that can't be taken away, that can't be belittled or devalued by other people. And that's that identity as image bearer. And if you're got Christ in your life, you ought to know that. You ought to recognize that that is your core identity. It's immovable, unchangeable. Now, that's the identity of everybody else too, but they're lost. They don't know it. If you deny the existence of the person whose image you bear, you're going to continue the rest of your life looking for these false identities. So that's where the apologetics piece weaves into it.